welcome. My name is Lexi Jong, and here I like to talk about luxury makeup. Today we are taking a look at the new Tom Ford Rose Prisme palette. So this is one of the new ones that's being released, and this is the lighter one. You can see the eye look that I have right now is very light. It's more of that light brightening type of look with this palette. Let's start off with some swatches. So here are the 4 shades. This is the wet dry formula from Tom Ford. Now this first shade you can see is kind of like a taupey champagne, and it can be used as a topper. Depending on how you apply it, you can have it very sheer, but there is enough pigmentation to it that you can use this shade on its own. Again, all of the colors here are very soft. And then we have this peach shade. I think this is like a true peach, maybe with like a touch of mandarin orange in there, but it's pretty much a true peach. It's satin. And then this on the bottom left, you know, in some photos it looks pink, but it's really going to be this light toned, cool lavender. I mean, look at that. That's another satin. It's very pretty. And then we have this more metallic brown shade, and you can see that this is about medium depth. So that's the darkest shade in this palette. It only goes to about medium depth, but it is going to be this really beautiful, soft, warm brown. It's not overly warm. And I think this palette is really, really beautiful for very light, bright looks. So like other Tom Ford palettes, this is 6 grams. It is made in Italy. And this one here, you know, you've got the brown packaging, you've got the mirror, wet dry formula, so you can use these shadows wet or dry. And I do have some demos showing you applications with wet and dry. As always, it comes with a little tray, and then you have 2 applicators. So you've got the dual tip sponge tip applicator. You can see one end is bigger, one end is skinnier. And then the other one, you've got another one of these more rounded foam tip or sponge tip applicators and a brush side. So that's it. Let's cut to the clips and some eye looks, and then we'll come back. All right, so we are going to start off with the Refer 27 into the peach shade. So you can see right away that this peach shade is going to be very soft on my complexion, but you have like a bit of a satin sheen to it. Moving on, we're going to go into the more chocolatey brown with the Sonia G Soft Shader. And we're just going to put this on the outer corner here. And you can see going onto my skin here that there is warmth to this brown. So I haven't swatched these yet, actually. So just kind of getting an idea of the colors on my lids, but you can see that there is like a little bit of a reddish undertone to it, but it's soft. And then using the same brush, we're gonna go into this first shade, which looks kind of like a taupey champagne. And we're gonna put this here. So this shade could be used as a topper, but you can see that if you put on enough, you know, with these shades being so light, it really, you know, there's enough opacity that you could use it on its own. And then I'm just going to take the tip into the brown shade. So just got a little bit on here. I'm going to use this for the lower lash line here. All right, and I'm just going to get a little bit more of this first shade here for the inner corner, and I could use the lavender for this, but really just I think I want to keep this more neutral, and that's it. This is like a great everyday neutral look. So then for liner, you could totally just add, this will give you a really soft liner look. I think I'd rather have something with a little bit more impact, so I'm going to grab a pencil. Okay, I'm taking this Chanel liner in 943 Brun Agape, and this is like a medium shimmery brown. And I'm just gonna take the tip of the soft shader to blend that out just a little bit. And that's the final look up close. And here is the first look from a distance. Again, I think it's a really great neutral look. you know, it does have some warmer tones in the shades that I used, but they are very softly warm. So if you're looking, if you don't want anything overly warm, those shades work for that. And I think it's a really beautiful combination. So I'll be right back and we'll do another look. Okay, moving on for a second look, I'm going to take this Energy Soft Shader. I did wipe this off, but I am using the clean side. I'm going to go into the lavender shade here. We're going to put this all over the lid. I am very, very interested in seeing this. So online, it was hard to tell if this was like lavender or pink. It really looked a lot warmer in some pictures than it really is, but it's a soft, cooler tone lavender shade. And look at that going on. You can see it has that really pretty satin finish, but it's very, very soft shade. So, you know, it's not going to have a ton of impact on its own. Let me actually try this one wet as well. So I dampened the brush and I'm just going to go ahead and get more of this lavender on here. We're just going to put this here. Wow, look at the impact you have with that one now. So you can see it's definitely much more impactful wet, but obviously, you know, as it dries, it's going to fade a little bit, but it's definitely going to be more intense. Overall, it's still definitely going to be a very soft color. And let's go ahead and keep playing with this. So I think, you know, I'm actually going to go in with the peach. So my brush is pretty much dry at this time. We're going to add this to the outer half here. It's very slightly damp, just kind of what was left over, but you can't really, like, I don't think it's having an impact on the shadow. Just going to put this over this. And you can see how soft that peach is as well. This is like, these shadows together, if you want just like a light brightening look on the eyes, that is stunning. We're going to go in with the Champagne Taupey Sparkle shade, and I'm going to put this right here in the crease. And I used just a tiny, tiny bit, so it kind of looks like scattered starlight. I mean, in my opinion, it looks just, it makes my eyes look wider and brighter. Yeah, it's not going to give a ton of color impact, but I really like the effect. We're going to do something a little different though on the other eye and see how some of these layer. So I'm taking the 27 into the brown on the bottom, and I'm going to just kind of put this here, and using this 27, which is a bit fluffy, I'm not going to get a ton of product on here. So you can see how soft that is. We're going to move in with another brush here. We're going back to the soft shader. We're going to get a little bit more of this brown. Let's spread this out. And I actually want to layer this. We're going to put this one all over the lid. So you can see how soft that is, but how beautiful that is for a soft brown. And you can see the warm undertones in this. Now I want to see how some of these shades like the peach actually work on top of the brown. So we're going in with the soft shader here as well. And we're just going to put this on top. And I just want to know whether this will make the peach a little bit more obvious. What do you think? It's very soft, and putting the peach on top does take a little bit of the shimmer away here. We're going to try the purple as well and put that on the inner half here just to kind of get an idea. All right, so there's that. Let's try those colors on top again. with a damp brush. We're just going to do the exact same 3 shades with a dampened brush. So starting off in the brown, I'm just going to kind of put this all over the lid. Okay, so obviously richer than on its own, but still not going to be super deep. Now going in with the peach, and I dampened the brush again. Yeah, and you know, you can see when you put the peach on top, you have more of this like pearly effect there. It's like a little frostier. But having the brown underneath, you know, it allows you to see it more, but it still doesn't look super peachy, if that makes sense. Okay, and now the lavender in here. Yeah, really, this lavender is so light that it's not going to have a huge effect on top. So these are the results of these experiments kind of on their own. Let me show you from a distance. All right, so here are both of the eyes on their own, and I feel like this one, it's lightening and brightening, but it needs some eyeliner. So I definitely think it needs eyeliner with this to really get a better effect. This one here, you know, I think the brown shade really makes the biggest impact here. I think it's really pretty. We're gonna do one more eye look. All right, so we're gonna keep this one simple. I'm actually gonna try it with my finger, and we're going to start in the peach shade here. And we're gonna just kind of put this on. Look at that. I like that. I like that kind of on its own. And then let's just add a little bit of the lavender also with the finger. We're gonna add that right here to the center, just for a little bit of, you know, kind of like some brightening in the center. That's really pretty. And honestly, I think that's like so nice for just an easy, quick look. All right, we're gonna finish this off by going into the sparkle here. And you can see that it can be opaque, but if we tap it on, you get more of that like starlight effect. Just being sure to get a little bit in the corner there. And that's it for that, but we're gonna line the eyes too. So I want a soft smudgy liner. So this is the Chicago F06, and we're gonna go into the brown here. We're gonna put this on the upper and lower lash line, and just kind of keeping this close to the lashes, but you know, it's a thicker brush, so it's not gonna be a harsh line. So actually you can see that adds some difference to the look, but it's such a soft color itself that it's not going to, you know, look sharp. Okay, and I'm just gonna add a little bit of the peach for the inner portion here under the lashes. All right, so this is it. And let me show you from a distance. So this is the final look from a distance. So on my face, I have the Westman Atelier foundation stick in shade N and the Westman Atelier Petal Blush with the Biscuit Contour Stick. On my lips, I have the Tom Ford lip gloss in number 6, Ravish. And that's it. So I didn't add anything else. And I'll see you in a minute. All right, so let's talk about some comparisons. The closest shade that I have to this lavender shade in here is from Chantecaille. This is one of the eye shades that you can buy separately. This one is called Lilac Rose. All right, so here's Lilac Rose. Let's put that right here. You can see that those are going to be very close to each other. Now, this is the Chantecaille Hummingbird Quartet in Warm. We're going to take a look at these two shades here for more of like the peach comparison. Now, this bottom shade is a duochrome, so it's not going to quite go, but figured it was worth checking out. And you can see that the peach and Tom Ford is definitely going to be much different from that one. Next, let's take a look at some of the Tom Ford Soleil palettes. This one is number 3, Soleil d'Hiver. And we're gonna go ahead, we're gonna swatch this whole palette here. So here are these 4 shades, put those here. Okay, so you can see that this peach has a little bit more like of a beigey tan shade in it compared to the new quad here, Rose Prisme, which, you know, has a little bit more vibrancy. It's like a brighter peach. The shade here is a similar tone to the topper shade, but this is going to be much more opaque on the lid. You can see that the brown here is much darker and cooler in tone. And yeah, that's basically it for those. And then this one here is number 2 from the Soleil collection. This is Soleil et Lune. We're gonna look at the peach shade here. So here's this one. And well, let's go ahead, we'll put it here first and see how that goes. So that one's kind of more like if you were to take the peach and this brown together and mix them. So I think it's closest to this shade, but it's definitely got more of that peachy tone to it than the brown and Rose Prisme. And then this one here is Nude Dip. And let's go ahead and take a look at these top 2 shades. So here are the top 2. And I'm gonna go ahead and bring the peach and the brown. Well, actually, let me just repost them here. So these are the 3 shades from Rose Prisme aside from the lavender. So there's peach. Okay, so you can see that the second shade, so the top right in Nude Dip, is going to be most close to the topper, but again, the topper really can be sheared out, whereas the Nude Dip one is going to be frostier. And then let's take a look at number 4, First Frost. And I'm just going to go ahead and swatch all of these, but really I think it's going to be this shade that may have more of a similarity. So here are the 4 shades from First Frost. And yeah, you know, it's actually not as similar as I thought. You can see that Rose Prisme is going to be much warmer. You see more of that reddish color in there. It's much cooler in First Frost. So I hope those comparisons were helpful. Just some quick thoughts on this palette. I think that this is a really beautiful palette if you like lighter, brighter looks, if you don't want to seem like you have a lot of eyeshadow on or any eyeshadow on, this is a palette for you. I think that even though it doesn't really, like the colors are not that opaque, you don't see too much, at least on my skin tone, I think that it does add a brightening effect, and there's like a little je ne sais quoi on your eyes. You know, you can't really see too much of the color, but there's something there that's making them look better. I think the color story is really beautiful. It's one of those really light and easy everyday looks. I don't really like them wet. I feel like, you know, it's a little bit easier to get them a little bit chunkier, you know, when you're putting them on wet. It was a little bit more challenging to smooth out the pigment a little bit. I do like them dry, but I think my favorite application is actually using the finger application where it's a little bit more pigmented than it is with a brush. And so, you know, the sponge tip applicator will work really well with these because that's very similar to finger application. Now, would I purchase this palette again? The answer may surprise you, but actually I would. You know, it's not a very strong palette on my skin tone, but I really like the effect that it has. And I love these lighter, brighter looks. And, you know, enhancing it with like a bright pop of eyeliner or something is just something that I would like to do with this. I think it's really a great palette for the summer in particular, you know, because it's light and easygoing, very fresh faced. So I personally do really like this palette, and I wasn't sure from the photos online if I would like it that much because, again, the photos, you know, it looked pretty overly warm, and this lavender shade sometimes looked really pink, and it was hard to tell whether it was a cooler tone pink or a warmer tone pink depending on the photo you saw. But in reality, these things are all, you know, they're very, very soft colors. The undertones don't make a huge difference in, you know, these 3 shades. Again, the lavender is going to be cooler, but even if you have warmer coloring, this is like the type of lavender shade that works great on the inner corner for brightening or in the lower lash line to kind of open up your eyes. This is also, it's a satin, so you don't want to use too much of it, but you can actually take a little bit of this, pat it under your eyes, and spread that out for some brightening under the eyes as well. It kind of can help disguise some of the dark circles and things like that. So if you use too much, you might see that satin finish, but if you just use a little bit, it works very well for that. So I actually think this palette could be incredibly versatile depending on how you decide to use it. And I'm actually really happy with it, like really, really happy with it. So I hope this was helpful, and thank you so much for tuning in. If there are any additional comparisons that you would like to see, please be sure to let me know, and I will include them in an update video, and I will see you very soon. So thank you so much. If you enjoyed it, please give me a thumbs up, consider subscribing if you haven't already, and I'll see you next time. Have a great day.